Wonderful, thank you. So, requests for today's talk. Just search your heart and see what's important to you, what's crucial, what's on your mind, and or heavy on your heart for that matter, if that you want to share today. Yes?
Density versus dimension.
Say it again?
Density versus dimension.
Okay, thank you.
Do dogs go to heaven?
Yes?
How can we increase our awareness and understanding of what our real nature is, our spiritual nature, as opposed to the physical? And how can we live from that awareness and understanding on an ongoing basis?
Okay, very good, thank you.
Self-love.
Good? Yes?
The sign of Christmas.
Define?
The sign of Christmas.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the holidays are upon us, the holy days, the Christmas. I love the symbolism. I love the colored lights and all that goes on. This is a nice, peaceful vibe for me. I mean, from what I see, I love the atmosphere, the systems out here, the ecosystem. I love the coolness in the air. I love this time of the year. And I know some people get a little strange, and it's like, well, I don't like the commercialism. I know, but you're just looking for something to be miserable about. You're looking for something to find fault, celebrate. And I understand commercials, da 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 da. I understand. Well, people I don't care. Someone needs to step up and be the presence of God. So instead of telling us about the people that aren't in the presence of God, start being in the presence of God. And that's it for today. There's two primary ways, because the word God, the name God, how do we get closer? One of you was asking, increasing our connection to our true self. And one of you also asked if dogs go to heaven. So how do I weave that in? It's very simple. Dogs are already in heaven. They're on earth with weird masters and all that and caregivers. But animals are already in heaven. I know there's an occasional grizzly with a mean gene, they call it. But animals are in heaven. If animals ever reflect not being in heaven, it's because they're fed up with people. The animals, just like the plant kingdom, they're all part of the body of the mother. She can't not be in heaven. Therefore, the things that live in an ecosystem, symbiotic relationship with her can't not be in heaven. Then why doesn't that apply to us? Well, technically it does, but we get in the way. Animals don't have that same tendency to get in their own way, mainly because they're not insane like people. They don't think egotistically. And I mean that. They don't think from a place of ego. Even if you think they do. Well, I know a dog that a dog. I know, but it's reflecting its master or the people around it. Animals, like all nature, all the world, all the universe, are mirrors. So we can say animals have this issue, that. No, they're actually just reflecting people. However, so are other people in our lives reflecting us. So what we want to learn is, how do we connect with God and our true self more? How do we get into a state of heaven? Do animals go to heaven? They can't not go to heaven because they're already in heaven here. Where else would they go? How do you go from heaven to hell? So, of course, they're extensions of the mother. They're extensions of the light of God. So how can we know God and our true selves more? The word God sometimes is seemingly abstract to some people. So another word we can use is light. If we think of God, it's pure light and bliss, consciousness. But we have three identities technically: the divine self, which is upper three chakras symbolized, the heart and soul self, and then the human lower three centers. But what's interesting to me is God is in all places. It has to be. So the common denominator, whether you live totally heavenly bliss or on earth or here, the light of God is present everywhere. How do we know that? Because when you're up here, there's a light in the center of your head that makes your pineal gland flutter, its tail flutter when light hits it. But there's no light that penetrates the skull. So it's an internal light, which is amazing. So how do we know God? Through light. What is light? Well, up here it's one thing. Here it's called soul light. In the human kingdom, what does it look like? All your cells are enveloped in a force field. All your cells have light. Every cell has light. Every atom, every particle has light around it, like a force field. And it's sort of called light because it's alive. It has life. So life ignites light. As small as it might seem, an atom or a molecule and so on, they each emanate light. When you take a collection of atoms and molecules that make up something like an organ or a body, you have lots of light from all those cells that emit light each, right? So that's your aura. So even our physical self has light, but what's the light? It's God being reflected through us. It's amazing. But the darker your mind, the more hateful, the darker the light goes, the dimmer the light goes. That's why, some of us are really excited when we have an aura photo and say, well, my light's all bright. But it doesn't mean that if you go to a aura photographer and they take your photo and they look at it and go, you're like, oh no. Don't worry about it, man, because if it's ever dimmer, it means either you're physically challenged health-wise, or it means you've been through a lot of stuff and it hurts you. It had its effects on you. So the light's a little dimmer. You can look at that and go, that's it. Now I give up on life. Or you can say, wow, that's not where I want to be. So it's time to ignite more light in my life. How? Well, it's interesting to me because the light of God symbolized here is what you see halos on saints and so forth. It means that I have extra light in my connection with God up here. But technically, our whole being should be filled with light. And Jesus says, let thine eye be single, and your whole being will be filled with light. Yeah, beautiful. Meaning God first, but you don't automatically get it to go everywhere. You have to choose it. When you practice daily communion and meditation, you're enhancing this light. Now, that should organically pour down into your heart and make your heart runneth over to where it pours down into your human life. God should be reflected in our hearts, but that's by choice. You can't just go, well, get her done, man. It's like, great to commune with you, God. Let me breathe you in. And God tries to get in and goes, I'd love to fill your heart, but your heart is already filled with hardness, hurt, resentment. Well, okay, fix it. God's going, well, I don't know of it the way you do. You're the one with the issues. You're made in my image. Do what God would do. Forgive the things. Heal the things. Work through the things. Counsel the things. 12-step the thing. Whatever you need to do. Clear your heart. Make room for me. Free will. We have to choose it. When we feel it filling up our hearts, it's like, oh my God, I feel alive. How? Well, the word love would kick in. This is where my soul light gets ignited by the beautiful light of God shining into my being, which I have to choose. So it's filling up. How do I know it's working? The more love you feel, the more forgiveness you feel. It's a simple ratio. You look at the quota and I feel it. The quantity of love, forgiveness, how quickly I can let things go, and how loving and of service I am. It's kind of easy to measure. I wonder, he's talking about this. I wonder if I do pretty well. Just sit with it and ask. Love, service, forgiveness, humanitarianism. And there are spiritual teachers on the planet going, communion with God, love, forgiveness, humanitarianism. I hate Democrats. I hate Republicans. That means this is all shut down again. Don't talk to me about love and forgiveness and holiness. Well, you still judge politicians. They're the most obviously screwed up people on the planet. You should have hit them on day one that's forgiveness 101. If you don't know that you got issues with politicians, how are you going to know about your fifth or generation relatives? And how do you know if there's still stuff going on with your third wife or husband? Man, get past the obvious weirdos. And I mean that joke, playfully. Anyway. Forgive the obvious ones if that's not obvious. The ones that are in your face, the ones you can't get past. They're on the news every day. Why are they on the news? Well, because, no. Spiritually, the only reason you hear about them and see them and think of them is because they need loved and forgiven. They know not what they do. Isn't that obvious? Don't create a ratio of what they do wrong to then validate your judgments. Then you're focused on this consciousness, your human, no light here, just your human consciousness. And the human consciousness is very strange because if it's without divine consciousness and if it's without soul light, divine light and soul light, then it's trying to run on its own energy. And that's interesting because how does anything shine light if it doesn't have life? And if you don't have love, you don't have life. So you're running on automatic pilot, but you're running on reserves. And so people actually think they're alive when they do feel a certain light down in their human self. But the light is like root chakra, sexual urges and whatever. And I'm not against any of that. I'm saying that that's what humans think is life and light. The root chakra can give life to a being, but it doesn't guarantee you'll like and love the being and care for it properly. That's why the abuses that go on in the world. So what's going on? Look at this light of God and compare it to this bizarre root chakra light. This should be filled with the same divine light that was up here. It should be able to pour without being tainted down into my heart and down into my human self. Of course, it's going to look slightly different. This is blissful meditation, oneness, communion with God, and this is day-to-day action. But blissful God presence channeled through my heart becomes service to others. It's different. It's slightly different because it involves the 3D world. But my oneness with God creates abundance here, which creates prosperity here. Here being down in the lower centers. You see? My human self should be able to reflect my divine self. And that means if I talk oneness with God, and then I say that I believe in God and I have good faith and I love God, prove it. Well, no, I love God. People are a little too much for me, but I love God. And God's telling us, Jesus said, don't say you love God and have issues with your neighbor because then you're a hypocrite. Well, that's kind of harsh, Jesus. No, it isn't. He's saying, I can prove it to you because God is in your consciousness. And if your consciousness holds resentments for others, it means you're inhibiting the flow of God, which means others are reflecting your relationship with God. So don't say you love God and hate your neighbor, because your neighbor is, for now, your experience of the presence of God. I know it doesn't seem like it, but it is. Now you add the words, but if only people were nicer, if only people were more this and that, then I could love them more. And Jesus again says, anybody can say that. It's when you can hold the light while going through struggles. That's when you know this light up here has been integrated in here and then lived out here, down here. It's when we go through the stuff and still hold the light, which is not always easy, of course. You know, if all of a sudden you're drafted, taken to the military, sent to another country, and you're living in foxholes and bullets are whizzing by your head, just, flailing at you. I mean, it's hard to just go, God, this is just so blissful. I understand. If you go to a mental hospital, there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of hurt. I understand. So you have to sort of step back and say, I don't think I'm wired for that yet. But do test it. Do come out and allow yourself to get used to practicing the presence wherever you go. Went a little too far today. This place is a bit much for me. Step back, breathe, and give thanks that you pulled it off as much as you did. Give thanks because more will be given. More patience, more ability. We all see and experience, whether it's on the news or in a movie or, in day-to-day life. We see things we'd rather have missed today. We'd rather not have seen or heard about. And it's scary and it's challenging. If you look at the things that trigger you, honestly enough, you're going to realize behind it is what? Well, they irritated me, they aggravated me, they this. There's another word, it's called I'm afraid. The reason you don't like people that attack you is because you're afraid. Afraid of what? It varies. I'm afraid of judging them. I'm afraid of their attack physically. I'm afraid of what it brings up in me. See, but fear is a big part of why we have such a hard time dealing with things of life. It's our own deep down fears. But God did not create fear in man. God created, the Bible tells you, a sound mind. If God didn't create fear, then who did? It's manufactured by us. Manufactured by us. It's made up by us. I have an issue, you and I have a disagreement, you take something from me or whatever it is, and now I'm triggered. But deep down, even being triggered is fear, deep down. And if I look at this and realize I'm afraid, you're afraid of what? If they took my money, I don't have any. If you took my ability to love, I don't have it anymore. If you took my innocence, I've lost that. You see? If you took my dream of my first marriage was going to be perfect and it isn't, and you took that from whatever it is that people have done, didn't do that you wanted them to do, or did do that you didn't want them to do, whatever it is, there's a hurt inside. And deep down behind the hurt is pain and fear. But what's interesting is that fear, believe it or not, implies that this thing today has more power than God. And I refuse to believe that is what we can say to ourselves. You can be in pain, you can be doubting, scary, tears, all kinds of shaking, anxiety attacks, but you have the right and the power. Yogananda's big on this. Don't let your mind drift into, and especially repetitively, that's called obsessing. Don't let your mind drift into obsessing on negatives. What might happen? Well, if they leave me, it means I'm unlovable. Who says? Well, if I don't have a child, I'm an incomplete woman. Who says? Where do you get this stuff? Is there like a dysfunctional magazine you read on a monthly basis that tells you the latest report on how messed up you are? Stop reading it. Well, but my mother's and my father's and my so-and-so and my friends, and they're all married, and I don't care. Commune with God first, draw that into your heart, and then take that total, confident, centered spiritual warrior into the world with an attitude, I don't care what you think. I don't care who wins the election. I don't care who wins the ball game or whatever it is. I don't care who wins the divorce settlement. I know on a human plane how hard these things are. We've all been there. And when it happens in multiples, it's called the dark night of the soul. Not a time of celebration, usually. People don't go, God, I'm just realizing I'm at the deepest part of the dark night of the soul. Oh my God, I can't. I'm going to put on some music and dance and celebrate this experience. No, usually it's like, I need a drink. I need to leave this place. I need to numb myself. I get it. We validate for the time being those hurts and those doubts and those times of pain. I'm so sorry that you or I or any of us go through those times, especially, of course, young ones and that are at the whim, so to speak, of parents around them and all that. I understand how scary and sick the world looks. Our job, however, even if we agree that exists out there, our job is what? To succumb to it or to rise above it? I mean, it's a simple thing. Just to say, let's pretend we agree, don't succumb to it, doesn't mean we're invalidating that people hurt. We're just making a choice to rise to some other level of consciousness. Rise to the bird's eye view. Rise above it and learn to say, this doesn't have power over me. While I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I don't need to be afraid. Because why? Because God is with me. It's not, though I will walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear nothing because I have great lawyers, because I have money, none of those things are relevant. All it says is, I don't need to be afraid. Why? Because God is with me. That needs to be our tenacious consciousness. I am connected. I am communing with the presence of God. One of you had asked about self-love. This is the ticket right here. Self-love here. If I don't allow the love of God to fill my heart, how am I going to bring it to others? There are some people that do try. They say, yeah, I really neglect myself, and I just love others. Let me tell you two things about that. One, then that means you have this lit up, and a dark black hole here. Not good. Does that sound good to you if you're a person that neglects yourself? Well, but I'm a mom and my kids come first. Put on your own oxygen mask first. Even when you think you're helping your children, when this is dark, the darkness is transmitting to them on some level. Even if it's a dysfunctional display of, hey kids, do you love mom? Yes, good, I'm glad you do, because I'm so connected with God. But mom tends to ignore herself and take care of others. They're like, and so it is, and we'll learn the same pattern of dysfunction. Suffer yourself for others. No. God, self, others. You can only truly bring to others what you have within yourself. Even if you think I'm incorrect and think that you can go God and others and ignore yourself, you still have to understand the metaphor, using the chakras as our example. What happens when the flow isn't here? Just use your own imagination. Forget I'm telling you this. If this is darkness, you're not taking care of yourself, what could you bring to others? And you say, well, I've invented a way. I've invented a separate spiritual channel, a new meridian that goes from my soul, spirit up here. It gets to about the neck, and then it takes a wide girth, spot around self all the way to the root center where I help others. Listen, you're messed up, man. If you have to go that far to try to dream things up, it's just, what a waste of time. So there's a light. To know God, think in terms, use the metaphor of light. If I say God, it sounds religious. It sounds a bit biblical to some people, but it sounds like we're just talking about something that we can remain disconnected from. Turn it into something tangible, God, which is light. And light here, like so on, like my metaphor I just used. Now you're understanding God a bit more. Instead of God is the thing up in the sky, I understand God is light. But there's another way that's commonly accepted to know God, and the ancients called it mind. Technically, if I'm made in the image of God, does it mean my body? No. A lot of mystics will say, you're made in the image of God means you have, even of course in miracles, we'll use the word mind, because it's saying God has a mind and so do you. Yogananda will tell you, you nurture positive thinking in your mind, you're nurturing your God self. I get all that, but it's not the right word. None of them were right. I know I'm arguing with Course in Miracles and everybody for a second. They're all wrong, and here's why. They were right for the time, because at the time these systems, Yogananda and science of mind and Christian science, see? The word science. When those were all invented, science was kicking in as a major fact machine. Only science knows the facts. So when someone's developing something called the science of mind, what Ernest Holmes was trying to say is the truth of the mind. But he used the word science, and Christian science. You see? Even people that call God divine, like universal intelligence. What are we talking about? It sounds like we're talking about a thing that thinks. Well, God does. No, it doesn't. There's another word that should have been used. And I can argue with them on this because I understand that was the time the words were used, mind. Shortly, Buddhism uses mind a lot. They're all incorrect because it makes you think they're talking about intellect, thinking mind. The thinking mind is here, chakra-wise. This is not your thinking mind, your heart. This is intuition. This is imagination. This is abstract thought, not concrete thought. So we accidentally usurped God's presence and made it into a thinking, like some sci-fi movie. God, it's this thinking thing. And you have to picture a brain inside of a glass cylinder going, I'm thinking, and it pulses and light shines from it as it's. That's not God. God is consciousness, divine consciousness. And I'm made in God's image, but I went from divine consciousness, light, once again, light or mind. I went from divine mind and consciousness to a spirit spark that sparked off of the flame of God. And that's my soul. By the time my soul light reaches my body, it's very dim. It's like an ember that's sparked off of God and it's glowing here and it gets dimmer and dimmer. Oh, congratulations, you now have a body. It's just a little tiny piece of charcoal or wood that's dim, maybe slightly warm, just enough to think you're alive. But you're not. You can blow on it, get a little light. Well, that's, happy birthday. Get a little light going for yourself. Great. But it doesn't last. It brightens up and then it starts. I don't want that. I don't want it dim. I don't want to be a dim wit. I don't want to be dim-minded at all. But I can't keep this, come on, I can't keep it alive. And that's human beings trying to make things happen. Oh, look, I got it to glow. This is my laws of manifestation. And that's what you're doing, man, and you're blowing it. It's not the real deal. You're trying to pump life into your laws of manifestation. The sad thing is, sit with the ember and go, what are you really feeling? Why are you, because I'm afraid. What? It's going out. You're right, and I'm sorry. Take the ember, put it back in the fire, and it'll catch fire again. And when I take it out, it'll be warmer and even more glow to it because it's reconnected with the fire, which is known as what? God. Get back to God once in a while and you'll keep your flame going. On your own, trying to just keep it glowing, good for you if that's all you know, but it's very sad because it will not work. You can take the ember and try to do CPR on it and all kinds of things. It just doesn't actually work. So there's this concept of divine mind, soul mind, and human mind, which is more like intellect. And believe it or not, none of this is by accident. The whole world tries to invalidate the existence of God. Whether you believe that or not, it's true. Anything you're going through, traumas and dramas, it doesn't matter if your team is winning a game. All these are distractions. All the great mystics have said that and known that. They're all distractions. So they would think, don't do any of it then. It's not about not doing it. It's bring God to it. Bring God to a game and wish well for both. Bring God to an election and wish well for both. Don't get caught in what they're trying to hypnotize you with. Even the word mind, I laugh at it because I know why it was invented, so that people can forget about divine mind and think that their intellect is enough to get them by. Ask any Atlantean. It doesn't work, man. Having the intellectual mind and technology without love didn't go well. Atlantis was obliterated. I mean, it's kind of humorous and tragic at the same time. Atlantis didn't just submerge. Oh no, it was like earthquake, volcanoes, earth changes, pole shift, an asteroid, like everything that could possibly obliterate the place to make sure nothing was left of it. That's not a great sign. They must have been doing something wrong. And that something was trying to control other people, trying to live in fear, and basically trying to live without the presence of God. So, don't hate ourselves. We don't need to hate ourselves or shame ourselves for this. Just see it. See how you try to keep embers alive in your life. Look at how you try to keep that it's the relationship that's gone, but you keep trying to breathe life into it. It's not there. And then what's sad is, why are you trying to keep an ember alive when you have the whole fire to stand by and commune with? That's kind of sad. And it means I'm so empty, I can't take the hit of one more thing fading from my life. But it isn't fading. It's not even real. These are just holograms. Don't worry. Reconnect with God. And it's so easily said, but for whatever reason, it seems hard to do, the reconnection with God. You're not even separate from God, so why would it be challenging to reconnect with God? God is as close as your own being. It's right here. But like Buddha said, but you have to lift the veils to see it. Heaven is right here. It's kind of a funny thing. It's been recorded numerous times where a child will be talking and mom says, dad says, who are you talking to? It's grandma. Well, no, honey, grandma died. No, she's right there. I mean, what do you need? Now, she's in the rocking chair, and the rocking chair is, quick, run from the room. Yeah, scare the kid because of your intellectual issues. Because your intellect can't comprehend what you can't see. So the child's like, no, but they're right there. And grandma says she loves you, or whatever it is. I think that stuff's beautiful and brilliant, but that's here. That's not the human intellect that has those experiences. The child's here enough to be able to see what's really happening. Generally, I mean, children have their own flaws and traumas, and I understand that too. But that level of consciousness, it's trusting even in things you can't always see with 3D mind. So Here, let thine eye be single. Open your divine eye. And that is to say, allow the Holy Spirit to guide you in opening the third eye. Stop trusting in eyes of duality and come to the knowing of God. No matter what I'm going through, I get it, I see it, I'm giving it to you, Lord, and I ask you to help me see it through a different eye. It's a beautiful thing to do, but it's mandatory for ascension. It's mandatory for reaching higher consciousness. We can't be in dualistic mind and eyes, but dualistic mind and reach higher dimensions. So heaven becomes a thing that we are living in, like we started with the animals. They're already in heaven, so they don't have to go anywhere for special dispensations. They're already in heaven. They just switch dimensions, which is what we're supposed to be able to do. But humans have a unique, sadly enough, a unique thing called judgment. We ate from, it didn't say, and animals then rusheth to the treeth and ateth of the treeth of judgmenteth. That's not what, the book of Genesis says. Mankind ate from the tree of judgment. And from that point, they fell. When you and I start having judgments, when we start calling things good and bad and evil, and some people misinterpret that too. They think it to mean, well, you should be able to do wicked things, but just don't judge them. No, that's not what we mean by judgment, non-judgment. If you're in a state of bliss, you wouldn't even do things you would have judged as, negative actions. It doesn't just mean you lack the ability. I mean, sociopaths can do that. Psychopaths can do some of that, harm others and not think about it. That's not what bliss means. Bliss is a concept of there's such a purity in me that my mind can't even go to that place to judge you. And if I do, I see it. And I've said this many, many times. To really evaluate how well you're doing on the spiritual path, it's to see how quickly you catch yourself when you're judging and bounce back. It's not, I shouldn't have any judgments. Now you're judging yourself again. But just catch it and bounce back. This world is so strange in so many different ways. The divine mind is pure bliss. The human mind is pure hell. Because it's the place of judgment, which is hell. You see? And it's driven a lot by the intellectual mind. Why do we have an intellectual mind that's separate from our intuitive mind and our divine mind? You know why? Because we were trying to create our own reality. When we hear about Lucifer being cast out of heaven by Archangel Michael, why in the story was Lucifer cast out of heaven? Because he tried to take heaven by storm. The ego called Lucifer, which is the ego in all of us, is the part of us that tries to just take a shortcut and take over heaven. You have to be the consciousness of love and forgiveness. And I'm sorry that that's an inconvenience. So sorry that it takes you time to start forgiving people and so on. And there's people you don't want to even think about to forgive. I understand. It's a real bummer. It's an inconvenience. But we're the ones that messed it all up. We're the ones who have to change it. We can't say, God, fix the world. God goes, well, I see it as I created. Everything's pure and it's pure light. You're the one with the problem. So you cure your mind, heal your mind of judgments, and then you'll see a different world. No, you won't just go to heaven. The veil's lift and you go, this is remarkable, which is the time of Christmas. It's the dark time of the year for half the, planet. It's, different, right, hemispheres. But Christmas is a time, whenever you celebrate it, it's when things are the darkest. Plants are producing less fruit and foliage and so on. Christmas time, that's the Christmas time? It should be all bright? No. It's really a strange, twisted kind of a holiday. It's all dark and gloomy with lights on the tree, with an evergreen that's still alive. So don't focus on the darkness of most of the trees during the time. You focus on the fact that despite the darkness, there is light. And that's what we're supposed to be doing on planet Earth. Despite the darkness, there is light. To show I'm an exception, not I'm exceptional above you, but I choose to be an exception, meaning I don't choose to give in to all the stuff, the programming. As soon as you're thinking and there's a time and a place for your intellectual mind, but it isn't one where it's supposed to try to be autonomous, Lucifer in heaven. Let go of trying to be self-controlled, self-controlling. Let go of my intellectual mind will discern what's right and wrong. I know I'm a successful person when I have enough boats and cars and money in the bank. Who told you that? Well, I just figured it out. I read it in a book, I looked it up online, and I discerned it with my intellect. That's all that does is tell me it's incorrect. This is what determines, only this, God determines what's true, capital T. My heart can choose to believe what's true in God. Or it can start to say, but I have some other opinions. I know God said A, B, and C, but I was just thinking maybe X, Y, and Z. You're already falling. You're trying to eat from your independent tree that you discerned is where you want to go. There's another tree called the tree of forgiveness, which most people don't even talk about or know about in the garden. Eat from that tree and your heart is restored. You're plugged back into God. Now we can take that life, that light, and mindedness down into our human experience. So now my human mind, lower mind it's called sometimes, our human mind, which is intellect, isn't running on its own. That's what the Atlanteans did. They created their own civilization. They ran on their own accord, their own beliefs, their own aggressive consciousness. They disconnected here from their hearts and from God. They literally were called children of the darkness as opposed to the children of light. So they were not coming from channeling God. They were like, no, I'm going to run independent. Sadly, that's what people do to this day. And it's interesting. Leaders of the world, the more they talk about metaphysical things, spiritual things, the more they're ridiculed. But that's not just politicians, it's you and me. We're the black sheep of our families quite often. But God is your family, so who cares about your genetic family? Hang out with them or don't hang out with them. None of that matters, believe it or not. Oh no, I can't live without my family, which is why you're messed up still. You'll get to a point where you realize God is like Jesus was saying. Hey, Jesus, your mother, you're back in Jerusalem. Your obligation is to go see your mother first. What does he say? He didn't go, oh, my bad. Oh, Mom, please forgive me. I know I should have seen you first. She just said, Jesus, get over it. Jesus, get over it. No. But instead, what does he say? Everybody that loves God is my mother, my sister, my brother. What a trip this guy is. I don't know if you know about this. It's in one of the lost books, but there was this one incident where you've heard about the stoning of the prostitutes that happened in that time. The Pharisees would have arrested prostitutes, and it's funny the Pharisees knew where to find them. But anyway, they had them arrested and then stoned to death quite often. Well, Jesus does that cool healing thing. Hey, who of you is without sin? You want to condemn her, stone her for a crime. But I'll allow that. Go ahead, stone her. But let me just, one caveat. Only if you have committed no crimes. What a cool way to turn it back on them. They don't, it's one of the lost books. He says that, and weirdly, emerging from the crowd comes a figure. A rock goes above the prostitute and bam, pounds her with it. Only you who was without sin should throw stones. This person ends up being a woman, stones this prostitute. Jesus said, Mom, just kidding. Get it? She's sinless. All right. Mom, you ruined my, Anyway, that's not in the lost book, so please don't look it up. Yeah, you're welcome to shut that. It just gave us something to forgive, so it's okay. So, our divine mind is very different from our human mind, and it goes wrong starting right here in our beliefs. I know people are like, oh no, the heart's all pure and holy. The heart is where you make a decision to serve and believe God's will, God's truth, or the one you've been programmed with. That's not down here. When they say, oh, the lower self is, no. The mystics that you told you, don't get into your body, don't connect with your body, stay away from sex and whatever else. No. Jesus even refers, evil is rooted in your heart. This is where your beliefs are. I know that sounds contrary to a lot of, new agey people. The heart's all beautiful. No, wait. The heart is where you make your decisions to believe that which is trying to flow to it, or that which you've blocked everything from. This human self that you're trying to breathe life into. And it's really a beautiful metaphor. For some of us, it might be like, oh, I don't like that metaphor. Look at it as a metaphor of your life. Things you've tried to breathe life into that are gone. Jobs that ended 2 years ago, but you're just being let go today. Should have been seeing that. You should have been already looking for another job. I know all the inconveniences and hurts and fears that it causes us and anxieties, but masters that are plugged in here in their heart, they can see things before they happen. They can feel them before they're coming. They can see trends and so forth. So you know how to live a holier life on earth because you allow this flow of light to happen. But remember, mind, divine mind, not just light. Divine mind becomes soul mind, becomes human intellect mind, sadly. But it could all be divine mind, becomes soul mind, becomes my human mind that's illuminated with the original divine mind. That's how this could go. Now I can say I am made in God's image. That's why Jesus said, I'm allowed to say, truthfully, when you see me, you see the Father. Part of what he's saying is, God that is divine, I'm bringing all the way to this world right here, right now. That's why his first speech, sermon, teaching in Jerusalem, goes into a synagogue and they're all like, Jesus has been traveling. He's been, he's wow. He's expected lots of credentials. People are loving him. He's got, from all around the world, he's got testimonials. This guy is amazing. And he's come back to Jerusalem. It's going to be an amazing teacher. So he goes up to the stage, and this is a real one, by the way. It's not one of my stories. And he unfolds the Torah, and he's going to read, and they're all waiting, bated breath. And he reads from a part that says, the kingdom is here. He rolls it back up and he says, and I'm telling you truly, the kingdom of heaven is here. And they actually took him out and tried to stone him. For what? Because he said the kingdom of God is here. No, it isn't. See, the intellectual mind, the Luciferian energy. Let's kill this guy. What? Wait, what did he say? Oh, he said the kingdom of God is here. No. They would have dismembered Buddha because he's like, it's right here. You just lift the veils to see it. Can you imagine what kinds of insane, rude, cruel, gross people would do that? Those are words I used on purpose. It's people that are afraid. It's not just that they're rude and cruel, and I know all that, symptomatic. What I'm saying is the reason they reacted to Jesus that way is because he struck terror in them. You're saying the kingdom of God, highest dimensionality, is right here. That scares me. You know why? Because I can't see it. And then why can't you see it? Well, he tells them, because you all follow the liar as your God. You all follow your egos. Let me tell you, there's another thing. It's called love. Follow love and so on. So they're trying to kill him, but it's mainly because he's talking about something they can't see. And their heads interpret it. He says the kingdom of heaven is here. If it is, these people aren't going to need us. We're out of a job. Comes back to money, believe it or not. So on one level, it's psychologically, we're enraged because we're terrified. I told you fear is behind everything. So we're enraged because we're terrified. And we're terrified because he's talking about something we can't see. And they even say that. Who does this guy think he is? Well, no, it's the opposite. He's not thinking at all. He's being. You're thinking. And your thinking causes you more fear because you already had too many thinking thoughts. You've already had too many judgmental thinking thoughts, assumptions you've made, opinions you've established, and they've become your religion, your program of life. Somebody comes in and says, none of that's real. Lift the veils of your own opinions and you'll see the kingdom of heaven. I'm not seeing it. I'm enraged and will attack you. So don't think that you and your own families and friendships and so on, people you get stoned with and whatever else, don't think that you're beyond this happening. You wake up, you start speaking the truth, being the truth. It will irritate people. That's just collateral damage. I could say I'm sorry that it's happening because I feel for you, because I know it's hard to go through. But I'm not sorry for you in that I think you should go back to sleep. Divine mind, soul mind, human mind. Technically, they're all the original same light. So then why is it different? Because it dims. Why? Judgments, resentments, hurts. Held hurts, you see? Traumas and all this. It dims my light here. But then people pass away temporarily. They have near-death experiences and they go, all this beautiful light. All they're doing is going from the 3D into higher dimensions where the heart, what you could say the heart is, and they say there's light beyond understanding, there's love, there's tranquility. I mean, they're blissing out to a degree. And all they did was go from human density to the heart center. And they're already describing it as indescribable. They're already describing it as heaven, bliss, God, joy, love, oneness. Everybody's at peace. And they're only here. Imagine if they go here. But this is unspeakable. This is beyond words, which is beautiful. It's the bliss of God. You don't have to worry about how do I get to that bliss? Just relax and keep inviting it into here. But I want to go all the way. Shh. Let's get it here first. Get enough here and try to find ways in your life through love, service, forgiveness to anchor it down in the day-to-day life with the people around you. Be of service. Be kind. Get the light of God to pour thoroughly through you. Commune with God. We don't have a cult kind of thing here. We don't have a Michael meditation technique. We don't have a Michael this and a Michael that or a global center this. I tell you, meditate any way you can. Commune with God any way you can. If you say, can you give me some suggestions? Sure. Free download on my website. You know, I don't do like for $99.99, I'll teach you how to commune with God. It's free. On my website, called the Daily Communion Exercise. But you're not separate from God, so don't think you have to work hard to reconnect with God. Beautiful song called Hey Jude, and there's a line in there, the movement you need is on your shoulder. And I've shared this story once before, way back, but there was a point, Paul McCartney wrote the song Hey Jude. He shows it to a guy named John Lennon. John Lennon reads it and goes, wow, that's a fantastic song. And Paul goes, yeah, no, there's that one line I'm going to change. And John's going, what line? He goes, well, you know, it's all this beautiful stuff and, you know, don't let her go. Keep her in your heart. Love. It'll all work out. Don't worry about life stuff. And then he goes, then I threw in this one line. The movement you need is beyond, you know, is the movement you need is on your shoulder. And he goes to John, he says, you know, it sounds like I'm talking about a parrot. And John goes, no, Paul, I know what you meant. The movement, the change you need is as close as your own shoulder, your own heart, your own body, your own being. You know, and Paul's like, oh, that's a good interpretation. I like that, you know. But it was so abstract, John's abstract mind could hear it. Paul was thinking Gemini. He's, you know, warring within himself. Oh, I want to put that line in, but it doesn't make sense. So, but John was able to go, no. That line does make sense. And it's beautiful. So when I'm talking about all this, it's not just creation. We're talking about ourselves, guys. Lucifer falling from heaven because he tried to take heaven by storm. You and I still do it every day. We try to make heaven happen on our terms because we're so afraid. So here's what you need to do. You got to fix all of this. You have to stop all your thinking. You have to stop all your reactions. You have to change everything. You don't even have a body. Stop eating, stop drinking, stop all compulsions, stop it all, fix it all, and then you might start to be able to ascend more into higher realms of consciousness. Probably will because you'll die if you don't eat and drink. So, and you'll think, I did it. I'm in higher dimensions. They're going to go, no, you got to go back because you left your body. So, so here's what happens instead. We can work hard. We were given what's called, for lack of a better word, a shortcut. You can try to fix it all. That's the way of mystics throughout time. And only a few made it. Jesus comes into the picture and says, knock yourselves out. Lay on a bed of nails if you want. Do this. Hang upside down. Do all your techniques. Fast and do. He says it will work after, who knows, many lifetimes. You'll eventually have an epiphany. He says, but there's another way. Instead of waiting for decades or generations, lifetimes of fasting, prayer, and becoming a mystic, a monk, a guru, whatever, a yogi, whatever, he says there's another way. Keep forgiving all the things you're working on, thinking you need to fix. Forgive all of them. Forgive that you still eat. Forgive that you still think you have traumas and dramas in life. Forgive yourself for thinking that there's people that you've judged or they've judged you. Just stay in a forgiving mind. and you're actually baptizing it all. You're giving birth to a whole new world, not by fixing it, but by forgiving it. The old world starts to sort of calcify and, like eggshells, break off. The old way of living life and so on, they start to solidify and fall away. And you find that yoke, that golden light in the center. You see, so it's quite beautiful. You don't have to fix yourself, but you do have to forgive yourself. I of myself am nothing. That's part of what that meant. That's so Taoist, so cool. Do without doing. Being is what you need, and not the doing. And I know there's all kinds of people telling you all kinds of things you need to do to fix things, but wait. My mind is what got me into this mess. My lower, individualized mind, the one where the serpent tells them in the Garden of Eden, if you eat from this tree, God's telling you you'll lose sight. And Lucifer tells Lucifer, whatever you want to call it, serpent, tells Adam and Eve, no, God's lying to you. I promise you, you will gain sight. And he was right. God was wrong. Here's why. Because when the serpent said, eat from the tree and your eyes will be opened, he was telling you the truth. These eyes of judgment. God was also telling you the truth, and that is, you will lose your sight. This eye closed. These open. So they both gave you the truth. But one only gave you half truth. Yes, your eyes will be open, but it didn't tell you, and you will lose divine sight. How do you get back to divine sight? Oh, it's very simple. It's very, very simple. Lots of Kundalini exercises. Force that Kundalini, man. Just force it. Force it up and it will open your third eye. Not a good idea. We have taken God out. We've developed our own independent mind, opened our own eyes, and that's the fall. I of myself am thinking independently rather than I of myself am nothing, because what am I as an individual self without God? Nothing, because they can't even exist. But I have to recognize all the ways that I keep trying to run my own life, my own world. And I've got to let it be washed away. Instead, I ask God to help me. Enter my being, enter my heart, and show me what you'd really want me to think, be, feel, and then let that download into my human life. Now I can awaken and be in the light of God. The idea we're so separate from God, where can I get light? And I'll close with this. The divine light is here, the human light is dim, so what we do, we have this compulsion. If this is dim, we try hard to ignite it with things of this world, drugs, alcohol, whatever. But instead, we have this compulsion called Kundalini, and that's the Divine Mother saying, I'm going to take you up to reignite with the light of God. That light, once it reaches up here, will pour back down and bring you more light into your root center, but it's light from God, and then up the back again, the microcosmic orbit it's called, and it brings that light, and now I'm in an ecosystem of divinity. My consciousness every day rises to the heavens, I commune with God, and God says, bring some of me home. And we bring it down to the 3D. And we live it and we share it, we give it, and then we raise it again. My perceptions of today, let them rise again to the heavens. Let me see them more clearly, beautiful. Anything that was missed, let me forgive it when it hits this spot, the heart, and then down again. And that's the new ecosystem. But that Kundalini light recognizes, that's the mother saying, I know you miss God. So let me take you to God, but not to escape, ascend, run, avoidant behavior. I bring you to God so you can bring God back down into your life. Still matches the metaphor of this, just a different way of saying it. And people just come up with so many ways to edge God out, EGO, ego. So many different ways that they try to do that, including, well, I don't really like to use the word God. I like, universal intelligence. Again, now I'm back to a brain sitting in a cylinder in a sci-fi movie. But somebody will tell you, I'm totally cosmic, I'm awake, I'm one with universal intelligence. I have to ask, why are you afraid to say the word God? Well, God, see, they have issues. And that's a subtle way of sneaking around God and giving it a label and a name. So you could, it's like saying, hi, I don't really talk to, G-O-D. I call it Play-Doh. Play-Doh, like the dough, right? I call it children's Play-Doh, and because that feels more fun. Look at all the bizarre ways we come up with trying to edge God out. And laugh at it. Don't hate it, don't fear it, but just see through it, man. And you don't have to correct people. If somebody says, I was just meditating in divine intelligence, don't say, dude, get over it, call it God. You don't have to correct them. Just see through it and feel for people. That's how afraid they are. This world, there's no way you can put a number on the number of ways that we have tried to edge God out. You can't even put a number to it. It's greater than the number of people because every human being's done it 1,000 different ways. And for all human beings throughout all time, edging God out. There are alien beings that come and talk to people. Hi, we're star beings from the 85th dimension and whatever, planet IBM, and we've come to talk to you about better living. Really, thank you, God, this is amazing. Can you help put me in touch with God? Well, we don't really call it God. It's just really ourselves. And here they go again. See through it. Put down the books, the teachers, the teachings, the movies, the videos that can't just get to God with you. Why waste time? It's far more efficient. You're willing to let go of things that are overtly destructive. Watch for the ones that are covertly destructive as well. And don't hate them, just don't bother with them. God. Don't settle. Don't settle for the altar of, this and that and fake things. Just go to God. Any person that has the courage, including politicians, to use the name God, I love that. I love love. So when I see a politician say, we should all pray for so-and-so, or what, I love that. They might not at all share in our beliefs, spirituality. I don't care. I love love. And when I see people, parents that pray with their children, I love it because someone's having the courage to step up. One of the coolest things about an old politician named Ronald Reagan was that he followed astrology. He wasn't allowed to tell anybody. Could you imagine? Well, it's a full moon this week, and like God, they would have tried more often to kill him than they did. It's, Saturn. But I love that a politician ended up getting stamped with follows astrology. I think that's the coolest thing in the world. If you have a surgeon and he says, based on astrology, this is not the week, I think that's the coolest thing. When people allow higher principles, higher consciousness to come into what they do, I don't care who they are or what they do. It could be a car mechanic. This is actually not a good week for an overhaul. Because technically this is, and that includes, the one house includes cars. And I love that. I love that they believe in something higher. You see? I love it. Please take a few centering breaths. Draw in as your truth anything you heard that feels right to you. Let all else go. But at least draw in and really deeply own anything you heard that made sense to you, that feels like truth to you, and that you could speak, if out in the world, about it. Own it in yourself. If it was about the chakras, hear yourself saying it. It's true. Make it yours, not something you heard a guy say. Hear it repeated quietly in your mind. Oh, yeah, you get that in your mind. Animals are already in some level of heaven. Soak that in. Know it to be true. And if you hear people doubting it, fearing it, speak the truth. No, I think animals are already plugged into God. was about forgiveness. Soak it in. Ask the Holy Spirit to help you anchor this in as truth. It's beautiful. I can see where I would not allow my human self to usurp the presence of God. In this moment, I recognize God is all that I really care about, because it's all that matters, all that's real. And breathe that in as truth. No one, nothing, no thought, emotion, action matters when we surrender to the divine mind of God. But we're not trying to bliss out, we're trying to bliss in. So we draw that bliss from the heavens into our heart. Confidently do it. Well, yeah, but I don't know if I believe it. I have doubts, I have sinfulness, or whatever words you attach to it. I've made mistakes, I'm a naughty person. Wow, sit at the altar in your heart and say, hey God, look at that. My mind is like dreaming up all these weird things that are not your will, God. And I own these are my thoughts, programs. All I can do is what you've told me I'm allowed to do. I'm giving it all to you. I don't have to fix myself to approach God, because that's another secret way to storm heaven. Covert way. No. I'm going to stand right where I am and let your light shine upon me. Shine on all my bizarre, wild thoughts and beliefs. And some of them are really out there, Lord. But shine your light on them, because they can't stand darkness in the light. They can't remain dark. They become dissipated, illuminated. So in your own way, imagine your heart going from half willing to be with God and half resistant because of thoughts and beliefs and opinions. Just stop for a moment and imagine all those are gone. Imagine your heart is completely a clear, clean vessel. This is where the female in you becomes impregnated by the Holy Spirit. Mary, Mother Mary, was in her heart immaculately, receiving that spark of creation into her heart that brought forth Christ, or in the form of a child named Jesus. I'm in my heart in this moment, Father, Mother, God. Washed clean, clear, the vessel of my heart. And I'm asking you to send a spark of life into my heart that can then birth the Christ child in me, but also a new life. Let your light shine perfectly through and birth greater prosperity, greater confidence, greater love, greater service to others, greater compassion. There's no limit to what we can create together when I get out of the way. The Holy Spirit of God descends upon us, metaphorically impregnating our heart to manifest a new life, birthing the Christ in our day-to-day life. Believe that it's not only possible, but it's now. Any doubts to the contrary, I'm allowed to fan into a flame and let them live in my being. But why bother? At least in this moment, I can say I'm choosing to say no to that. Feel fullness of life, of light, the divine mind of God all the way through us. We're saying to the universe, now when you see me, you're seeing the Father reflected as much as I can purely reflect it today. I'm standing in the light of God, dancing in the light of God, creating in the light of God. Everything in me changing. And it's a perfect time of the year for this birthing, this awakening. And I'm preparing not only for today, tomorrow, but also the proverbial next year, a life where I'm more directly guided by your presence. Show me what you'd have me do and not do, think and not think. I stand in a state of glorious peace and bliss. I forgive myself for all the things I should have done and didn't. And the things I shouldn't have done and did. I'm clear. And I ask for your will to live through me now. And I'm giving thanks in advance because this will affect my life from here on and will improve the life of everyone around me. Just keep showing me how. Keep guiding me. For this I give thanks. And so it is. Thank you. Just take your time gradually. Come back and stretch out. Stretch in. Anchor that light inside. In a moment, we'll do our closing prayer, but just hang out for a second. Can anyone share from today's talk or meditation, or even the presence of each other in the room, what you learned or heard or felt or experienced that you can share that you went through, but also what might be effective in the people's lives around you? Yes.
To commune with God and heal your disbelief, for you are your Father's treasure.
Yeah, to commune with God, heal disbeliefs, recognizing we're the treasure of God. Wow. Yes?
Taking responsibility for my own judgments.
Yeah, taking responsibility for your own judgments. Really? It's not going to hurt. There's no being that's going to go, oh, but that's it. Man, I'm going to crush you now. Taking responsibility means I see them and I can choose to let them go. It's beautiful. And letting them go, I make room for God. Who else? Yes? Yes?
Forgiveness is the gateway.
Forgiveness is the gateway. I mean, there's all kinds of techniques and, laying on a bed of nails and all these amazing mystic techniques, locking yourself away from the world, living in a cave, eating 1 grain of rice a day, whatever it is, all these disciplines. And something else came along and said, that's the old dispensation, doing to become holy. There's another one, forgiveness. It's true, yes.
I used to have to call God universe.
Yeah.
And so I saw in the meditation, like all the areas in my cells or my body energy-wise that like took that as a counterfeit light. And so it's like I saw Holy Spirit like shift all of that and
Nice.
replace it with like God's light.
That's beautiful to me because she's saying, I used to call God universe. Where do you draw the line? Podium, bring kindness into my life. I mean, where do you draw the line? Universe. What is the universe? I mean, think about it. What's the universe? It's space with stars and planets. And, it's just this thing floating. And we're worshiping and talking. Oh, universe. It's like, huh? Like, how does it respond to you? I want to believe in a God that is a living God. It's alive. It's awake. It's a consciousness. And I made it its image, which means I have consciousness. But if you go to sleep, you're sort of unconscious, which means not only unaware of God, unaware of self, and unaware of others. It might look like you're engaging, but when you're asleep, you're unconscious, which is why we can again say, you know not what you do. You don't, because you're unconscious. So the opposite of consciousness is unconscious, which is another way of saying heaven and hell. When we're unconscious, we're really living in hell, self-imposed hell. As Edgar Casey put it, anytime you're not allowing yourself to feel the presence of God, you're in hell. Okay, yes, one more.
There's a phrase that you've used as long as I've known you, and it has helped me so much.
Yeah?
Michael. God first.
God first. Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. God first in all things. That's not like a dogmatic or religious thing. God first. Because first of all, it's all that matters. But God is my highest priority. It looks like we're going from down here and working our way back up to God first over time. No, right here and now, God first brings all of this together. That now I'm living in the light of God. I'm not God light, soul light, human light, it all becomes just light. And it doesn't go from divine consciousness, soul consciousness, human ego consciousness, or unconsciousness. It all just becomes the consciousness of God. It's really, really beautiful. We're going to take up our collection and do our closing prayer. Please, everyone, be as generous as you can be. During this last month, we're going to be raising as much as we can to clear all debts and so forth for the year. So several grand we're seeking to manifest. Anything you can do to help us would be fantastic and much appreciated. Before I say anything more, on Christmas Eve, people ask us, are you doing a Christmas Eve service? We did this for years here in Sedona on Christmas Eve. And I swear to you, this isn't like I'm making this up. All of you, if tomorrow was Christmas Eve, I'm looking at all of you. I remember you. Yeah, you're here, and I remember you guys. Christmas Eve service, none of you are here. It's all these people that are just, they go because they need to be somewhere, like the Catholics or something that's shown up. I'm kidding. But they have to be somewhere on Christmas Eve or else they're not religious enough. So we have all these strangers. And I'll say things, I'm like irreverent, right? I'm just silly. So and they'll just sit there like, he can't possibly be saying that. Not in a church. And I'm just thinking, who are you people? Like it's over the years. And every year I said to the board, we're never again doing a Christmas Eve service because it was so bizarre. I'm serious. It was so like just talking to strangers. And they're like looking at me like, this guy's got long hair. They've never seen me. I don't know why they're here other than the guilt or something. So we swore, but what we're going to do is a Christmas Eve ceremony. So we'll gather more like in circle and do some really beautiful candle lighting. And it's not going to be like a standard thing. It won't be a sermon, as they call it in some places. It'll be a ceremony that we're going to share quite profoundly, okay? Take your love offering, hold it to your heart. Truly, truly believe you are made in the image of God, therefore you are abundant, and that abundance manifests as prosperity, and that prosperity manifests as 3D riches. You're sharing a portion, even if it's just in your thoughts and prayers, into the basket, into the bags. Download consciousness of love and appreciation for us, even if it's not in dollars. Don't worry about it. Put love and support, prayers of support, and we will receive it. Together, please, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you, guys. Please stand for a closing prayer. For the folks online, the song you missed, because we can't stream it online, Shining Star by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Shining star for you to see what your life can truly be. It's perfect for today. Soak that in. Thank you all for your requests for today. I think we covered all of them. If you didn't hear it, listen again to the talk and you'll see that we covered all of those. Breathe that in and appreciation for each other, okay? For each other. That concept, the divine in me honors the God or divine in you. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is, now and always. Peace be with you all. God bless.